Good evening, you're watching Estuary News, I'm Hugh Riches. Coming up tonight, a man has died following a crash on the M62, potential job losses in Hull and urgent care services in the East Riding. And later in tonight's programme, Elaine Atkinson talks about Grimsby In Bloom, but before that, James Russell on Hull Independent Cinema's new season of film. A trio of new urgent care services have opened today across the East Riding of Yorkshire. The treatment services are designed for people suffering injuries or illnesses that are not considered life-threatening. The new centres are open daily from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m, based in Beverley, Bridlington and Goole. East Riding of Yorkshire Clinical Commissioning Group has also launched a marketing campaign today to promote the new centres. Speaking to us back in February, when the services were announced, Alex Seal of the CCG said the idea behind the new centres is to relieve pressure on the accident and emergency services.
So these units will be open 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, and they will see a whole range of minor injuries and ailments. So the kind of things that you could go to the urgent treatment centres for are strains, sprains, bruises, minor burns, simple fractures, and also a range of minor ailments as well. So what we're really hoping is that people will be able to use this consistent offer of services, and they'll use this rather than going to accident and emergency, so that we can save that facility for people who really have the more serious injuries and issues that need to be dealt with within A&E.
A man has died following a collision on the M62 yesterday. The accident occurred when a caravan transporter collided with a black Lexus. The driver of the Lexus was pronounced dead at the scene by emergency services. His family has been informed. 2 other men are in hospital following the collision. A passenger in the car suffered life-threatening injuries. The driver of the lorry suffered injuries that are thought to be serious but not life-threatening. Humberside Police are appealing for anyone who witnessed the crash to call 101, quoting log number 106 for the date, the 3rd of the 4th of 18. 79 jobs are at risk at a company in Hull. Plasticon UK has gone into administration, putting its workforce under review. The company makes storage tanks and industrial piping. The announcement comes as the company has suffered significant losses over the last 2 years. Grimsby Institute has been named as one of the UK's top-performing colleges. The institute was in the top 10% for overall education and training in the National Achievement Rates tables for 2016 to 17. Improvements were recognised in apprenticeships and education and training. Parts of East Yorkshire and North Lincolnshire are still on alert for further floods following the rain over the Easter weekend. South Ferriby still has a flood alert, as does the east of Hull. A flood warning has been put in place for the River Hull near Beverley, meaning that further flooding is expected and that immediate action is required. 208 women now serve in the House of Commons. The figure rises with every election. Now we meet Great Grimsby MP Melanie On, who's trying to make a difference for women getting into politics.
My name is Melanie On and I'm Member of Parliament for Great Grimsby. There are not enough women in politics, and that is at all levels, whether it's people in the background or people who are doing the front-facing roles, and that is from councillor level right up to elected members of Parliament. And it's something that we as a society have got to do a lot more to address. I would love, in our local area, for example, to see a lot more women coming forward. We've got a really strong tradition in the Grimsby and Cleethorpes area of having some really strong women, some really forthright women.
Melanie was selected as the Labour candidate from an all-women shortlist in 2014. The practice is designed to increase the proportion of female MPs in the United Kingdom.
I think when it comes to all-women shortlists, it has undoubtedly improved things in the Labour Party when it comes to women's representation in Parliament. It's not always as successful when we look at local government elections. not least because just getting enough people to stand for local government elections is a lot tougher, because doing that work within local authorities is incredibly tough, and you do tend to be much more at the sharp end of public opinion in your locality than perhaps members of Parliament who can escape to London on a weekly basis. However, it's not the only way. I mean, I would love to see a point where we don't need all-women shortlists anymore. It does have negative consequences. People think that because you were selected through an all-women shortlist, somehow you are less worthy, that you are a less impressive candidate. And I think that doesn't really bear out at all.
The all-women shortlist is certainly making a difference in getting more women in politics. How does Melanie think the equal representation of men and women make a better workforce?
Well, I just think having a balance just makes for decisions that are better reflective of the society that we live in. You know, we are pretty much balanced. I think there's slightly more women in the country than men. So it stands to reason when it comes to a workforce, whether it's in Parliament or whether it's in a business, having people at every single level and making sure that is as balanced as possible is something that will create a better service for people, that creates better decision making because it's more reflective of the society that it deems to serve or tries to serve. So I think that having those different viewpoints actually helps, and it's a much healthier environment as well. There are things like the pay gap based on gender that really throws it into sharp focus, that isn't the case at all, and that there are still many areas of our lives that are dominated by the fact that if you are a woman, then you are less likely to achieve a job that will give you the same kind of financial reward as if you are a man, and the kind of job that you are likely to get. And there's a lot of work that is ongoing at the moment to try and open up those careers that are higher paying to women and encourage women to go forward.
155 manufacturing trainees have joined British Steel since it began recruiting back in 2017. They're being trained for such roles as crane driving, forklift truck driving and machine operations. New trainees have joined the company nearly every month since last April. British Steel is now on the hunt for 60 more trainees. Anyone interested can visit British Steel's website. Now I'm joined by James Russell from Hull Independent Cinema, which is launching a new season. James, welcome. Thanks very much for coming in.
Thanks for having me here.
Where and when is this new season taking place?
As usual, we at the moment don't have our own cinema. That's our long-term goal. So at the moment we show films in different venues around Hull, mostly at the View Cinema at Prince's Quay Shopping Centre and at the Studio Theatre at Hull Truck Theatre, but also a couple of other places around the city as well.
And how long is this season lasting?
We programme all our seasons as 3-month blocks. So this season started last night with a film called Journey's End, which was a World War I drama. And goes through April, May and June. So it's a 3-month season. We're showing films once a week as part of our regular season of basically the best of foreign language and independent films, the kind of films that you wouldn't get to see in any other kind of mainstream cinema in the city. But then we've got some other things going on as well.
Now, you say that the reason that you don't get to see those films in mainstream cinema is because there are not enough people who want to go and see them.
Well, we have a really good, loyal audience, and I think there's a big demand for the kind of films that we show, as evidenced by the fact that at the end of our previous season we had sold-out screenings of films like Lady Bird and Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri.
Well, that's pretty mainstream. That got a lady the Oscar, didn't she?
Yeah, that's great. I mean, one of the things is we programme our films before we know exactly what's going to get all the awards buzz, so sometimes we strike it lucky a bit. And hopefully there'll be some similar stuff in here. We've got films in our current season that we know A Fantastic Woman, which is the cover star of our brochure.
Yes, we'll talk about the brochure in a minute.
That won the Best Foreign Language Award at the Oscars this year. And we're also showing The Square, which won the Palme d'Or at last year's Cannes Film Festival. So that's, we've got some really great critically acclaimed and award-winning films in
If
there.
people want to come along or even to join the Hull Independent Cinema, how do they get in touch?
The best thing to do is to find our website, which is hullindependencinema.com. People can also pick up one of our brochures. There's loads of these all over Hull in shops, bars, cafes. You can pick them up at the information hub at the Paragon station.
You've got a couple of sort of mini festivals within this season, haven't you? Tell me about those.
That's right. So we had a lot of success last year with Hull being City of Culture. We had a lot of funding to try some new things that we'd never done before, and work with different partners from around the region and the country. And it's given us the luxury to sort of pick the things that work best and try them again this year. So in May, we've got 2 mini festivals happening. First of all, from the 2nd to the 6th of May, we're welcoming back to Hull Dock and Roll Film Festival, which is a festival of music documentary films, which we're wrapping up with our first ever screening at the legendary Adelphi, with a live gig as well. And then at the end of May, the last weekend, the bank holiday weekend, we've got Yorkshire Silent Film Festival. Now, they're a regular with us, and our audiences love our Yorkshire Silent Film Festival screenings, which is old silent films with live improvised piano accompaniment from the fabulous Johnny Best. But what we've not done...
You need a Wurlitzer organ, don't you, down at the front?
Oh, that would be great, yeah. Well, we'll see if we can get one next time. But what we've not done before is a mini season of those back-to-back. So we're doing 3 films in 2 days on the Friday and Saturday of the May bank holiday weekend. And again, all the information about those is in the brochure and on our website.
You've got some old films as well, not quite that old as well, but Wayne's World, things like that. That's amazing. That's 35 years old or something like that.
Yeah, don't.
It's horrible, isn't it?
But as well as our regular seasons and our partner events, we also have a couple of strands, Cult Cinema Sunday and We Watch Films, which specialise in bringing those classic films, cult films, back to the big screen where people really should see them.
James, thank you so much for coming in. I look forward to seeing some of those brilliant films.
Thank you.
Join me after the break. Jack will bring us all the latest sports news from our region, and I'll be joined by Grimsby in Bloom's Elaine Atkinson. Welcome back. You're watching SG News. Still to come tonight, Jack brings us all the latest sports news from our region, and Elaine Atkinson brings us the latest from Grimsby in Bloom. Gun owners in Lincolnshire are to face tougher health checks. Lincolnshire Police has revealed that the county will become the first in the country to require medical information of every person applying for a firearms licence or a renewal. The initiative will mean licences are never granted before up-to-date medical records checks are received by the police. This will apply to new applications from today, the 4th of April, and to renewals as of the 1st of August. Lincolnshire Police say the move comes as a way of increasing the safety of both the licence holders and everybody else. There are over 20,000 firearms licences in the county. Anyone interested in finding out more about the scheme can visit Lincolnshire Police's website. Some of Hull's most treasured landmarks are set to be illuminated thanks to a new exhibition. Nayan Kulkarni's The Golden Hour consists of a variety of lights on various buildings across the city. These lights will be a temporary feature from the 5th of April to the 8th of April, and the lights themselves will change throughout the evenings. The buildings themselves include Hull City Hall and Hull Minster, the statue of Queen Victoria, and the Guildhall, monuments strength and maritime prowess. The idea is to create a calming set of illuminations that throws some of Hull's significant buildings and historical monuments into the spotlight. Voluntary youth groups in the East Riding of Yorkshire have been awarded grants from East Riding Council. Positive Activities grants were awarded to 19 youth organisations in Bridlington, Goole, Hessel, Driffield and Hornsey. Since 2013, the council has provided £299,000 to help develop strong youth organisations. The investment has helped to create 48 new youth groups and support a further 131 over the last 6 years. Councils in Lincolnshire are joining forces to tackle the area's recycling and waste problems. Lincolnshire Waste Partnership includes Lincolnshire County Council and all 7 of its district authorities. The group wants to find the most environmentally sustainable waste strategy for the future. The partnership has already produced a draft strategy to tackle waste and recycling issues. Residents can give their views through the release of a consultation document available online from today until July the 2nd, and that's at www.lincolnshire.gov.uk/recycle-for-Lincolnshire/. Bit of a mouthful, that one. Now, I'm joined by Elaine Atkinson of Grimsby In Bloom, which has lots of events coming up. Just talking about waste disposal and recycling there, Elaine. That's one of the things that you do, is get Lincolnshire In Bloom waist deep in the River Freshney, clearing out the weeds, clearing up the river. How's that going?
It's going really, really well. We've had 2 events already, and then on the 14th of this month, we've got our 3rd event. And we're finding that less and less waste is actually in the river, and a lot of it is actually just blown from the recycle boxes, which is a bit of an issue in itself. But, you know, we're on top of it, and we're keeping it clean.
And once you've got the waste out of the river, how easy do you find it to dispose of it?
We do have a few issues, but overall, we, you know, with a little bit of persuasion, we do find the council will come and take it away.
It is, after all, its job.
Yes, it is the job of the council to clear it, and we're doing it for them, which, you know, is, as a voluntary group, we don't mind doing that, but we do need their partnership.
Very political here, Elaine.
Yeah.
So that's when the next river clearance is?
14th of April, Saturday the 14th, starting at 10 o'clock.
Whereabouts?
We start at the Pavilion in the Duke of York Gardens on Freshney Drive, and there's always refreshments available, and quite often hot soup and a roll as well.
Everybody welcome?
Everybody welcome, yes.
Okay,
young
good.
and old.
Okay. Now, Grimsby In Bloom. Grimsby at the moment is not in bloom, and nor is anywhere in Northern Europe, because the weather has been so horrible. This winter will never seem to end.
It's been horrendous, absolutely horrendous. Nobody can get out there to do any work on the ground because it's just so wet. And if you trample on wet soil, it just damages the soil and the content of it. So just people, please keep off the soil.
What events has Grimsby In Bloom got coming up?
Well, we've nearly got our workshop finished, which then we're going to invite groups in to come and use it to build bird boxes and that sort of thing. So that's...
And where's that?
That is in our area within the pavilion. So we're hoping, hopefully by May, mid-May, maybe before, just need a few things to finish it off, then that will be open. So, you know, if any community groups are out there that are interested, you know, they've got a little group and they want to bring them down to do some woodworking or even DIY, you know, if there's a group of mums that don't know how to wire a plug on, that sort of thing, they're the sort of things that we're looking at.
Very sexist thing to say there.
It could be, right? Any men that don't know how to wire a plug.
Thank you. I think that's better. And you're especially encouraging young people to come and use that.
We want to encourage young people. We've actually put in a funding bid to Children in Need, and we're just through to about stage 3 of that at the moment. And if that comes off, we'll have quite a bit of funding to work with lots of different groups, and the police, who have got the early intervention team based down in West Marsh as well. So we're going to be working with them and hopefully putting on lots of activities, and not always fun activities, but activities that are going to make them learn something as well and take pride in their area.
Now, hopefully spring is starting and the summer is around the corner. What plans for that?
Well, we're starting to gear up ready for our July East Midlands In Bloom judging. So we're planning our route at the moment, where we're going to go. We've got to look at getting all our barrier baskets all refilled and making sure the streets are nice and clean and tidy. And we're working with communities to make sure their gardens and putting up hanging baskets and planters. So, yeah, we're on course with that at the moment.
Extremely busy time ahead
Absolutely.
of you, Elaine. If the heavens ever just give us some sunshine.
Just a few days just to dry out would
Elaine,
be great.
Thank you very much. Here's Jack with all the sports news.
We'll begin with last night's game at Molineux, where Hull City put in an impressive display away at Wolves. The Tigers drew 2-2 with the Championship leaders in an entertaining game down in the Black Country. City went behind to a Diego Jota penalty on 18 minutes, but they fought back to lead 2-1 thanks to a David Myler penalty and Ryan Bennett's own goal. However, that lead lasted just 5 minutes, with Wolves substitute Oscar Burr heading home to ensure the match finished level. That point leaves Nigel Adkins' side 7 points above the relegation zone, with 6 games of the season remaining. On to League One now. Scunthorpe United have announced a new date for Monday's postponed game with Plymouth Argyle. The Iron and the Pilgrims will meet again on Tuesday the 1st of May with a kick-off time of 7:45 p.m. The original match was due to take place on Easter Monday at 3 o'clock, but was called off by referee Scott Oldham due to a waterlogged pitch. Meanwhile, United's interim manager Nick Dawes has been speaking about the reaction of the players since the sacking of Graham Alexander. The Iron drew 1-1 at Oxford United in Dawes' first game in charge on Good Friday, and he said they must move on quickly and focus on the final run-in.
What you can't do as a player is get the same affinity with your manager as the staff do. So whilst they'll be feeling an element of responsibility, as we do, they are a group of individuals that make up a team, and they will, as they have to and have learnt, will move on as quickly as is right for them. That's the harshness of it, really. Like I said, I'm sure if I left tomorrow that I'll get lots and lots of messages of goodwill, but it's a bit sort of ships in the night syndrome in what we do. So they've had to refocus themselves quickly, and hopefully, well, I'm sure, I know that they've achieved that ahead of the game.
In League Two, Grimsby Town manager Michael Jolly is yet to win any of his first 5 games in charge, losing 4 and drawing 1 so far. Since taking over from Russell Slade last month, he's been without goalkeeper Jake Keane, who spent an extended spell on the sidelines through injury. As a result, the on-loan Sheffield Wednesday stopper hasn't featured in any of Jolly's matchday squads, with Ben Killip being the understudy to James McEwen. The Grimsby boss gave an update on Keane's position at the club.
Jake went back to Sheffield Wednesday to receive some treatment from their medical staff. They cleared him to return to us. So Jake's been back here and he's been doing some training. Our assessment is that he's not absolutely 100% yet. So we're just being careful in terms of how we manage him, but he's back here and he's part of the group, and we're pleased to have him.
And finally, Hull Kingston Rovers have confirmed that last Friday's derby with Hull FC has made it into the club's record books. The club tweeted that the attendance for the game was 12,090, a new record for K-Crom Craven Park. That figure overtakes the 11,811 fans that attended the Super League clash with Leeds Rhinos back in 2015. Hull FC took victory on the game on Friday, winning by 30 points to 22, despite playing nearly 70 minutes with 12 men. And that's all for today's sport. Back to Hugh in the studio.
Thanks, Jack. Special greetings to Oscar, Oliver and Henry. Isn't she a natural? If you or anybody else would like to get in touch with us, then please use Facebook or Twitter as displayed below. Email news@estuary.tv or phone Grimsby 01472315553. Or you can write to us, Estuary TV, DN345BQ should do it. Until tomorrow, from all of us here, good evening.